Journalist Jan-Albert Hootsen. Jan-Albert, thanks so much for your time. Can you give us more details about what's happening down there after this arrest?
Ovidio Guzman was, according to Mexican authorities, detained earlier today, local time, at approximately 6:20 a.m. in Culiacan. And according to Mexican authorities and people I spoke to who were on the ground, including reporters, almost immediately after the arrest, fighting broke out in Culiacan. The entire city became sort of a battleground between gang members and Mexican authorities. We've had reports of people being held at gunpoint by members of the Sinaloa cartel, having their cars stolen, their phones stolen, and shootouts are, according to people I spoke with just now, actually still going on. But it will not result in the release of Ovidio Guzman as happened in 2019, because he's already been transported to Mexico City. And according to the latest reports, he has just been interned in the Almolaya, the Juarez prison just outside Mexico City.
Do the security contingent there in Sinaloa have the ability to counter the gang members themselves? I mean, who has more firepower? If the gang members decide they want to continue violence, is it even worth the security officials confronting them? Because that could lead almost to a war on the streets, as you've been describing.
Well, the way things look right now, Mexican authorities certainly seem to have been better prepared for the occasion than they were 3 years ago. I was actually in Culiacan 3 years ago as a coincidence, so I could see the Culiacanazo, as they called the fighting 3 years ago, firsthand. And back then, Mexican authorities seem to have been taken completely by surprise, and they actually released Ovidio Guzman out of fear of being overrun by cartel gunmen. Right now, they seem to have a much firmer control of the situation on the ground. They also seem to have had more presence in places around Culiacan, unlike 3 years ago. So they do seem to have the firepower, but there is a lot of fear in Culiacan and the surrounding areas that the situation might escalate in days to come.
What's the situation regarding President Obrador, Jan-Albert, and his government's position regarding the drugs business? Because we've had previous presidents who have almost escalated the conflict with the gangs, and we've had other presidents who've been accused of being in their pockets and taking bribes. What's Obrador's position?
Well, unlike President López Obrador's rhetoric during the transition period, where before he became president, and his first months when he was president, his government really hasn't changed the situation all that much. The Mexican federal government security policies are still heavily focused on deploying the Army and the Navy and the National Guard, which is a new elite police unit, which is basically a military police or an extension of the Army, in areas like Sinaloa and other areas in the country where there's a lot of presence of organized crime. And the violence in many specific areas in Mexico where there's a lot of presence of organized crime has not really gone down all that much under López Obrador. So we see more or less a continuation of these previous government's policies.
Jan-Albert Hootsen, really appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you.